Hey, what's happening everyone? It's me, it's Count, here with an all new video. Today I'm going to be giving you a beginner's guide to the brand new game Pokemon Masters. It's definitely a lot of fun, it's casual friendly, there's a lot of cool strategy involved with it, and I want to give you a basic guide that will tell you how you battle, how you unlock different trainers, and a lot of little basic mechanics that a lot of players will miss as they play the game. So if you end up enjoying this video, hit that like button, subscribe if it's your first time here, and don't forget that little bell as well. And if you end up finding this video extremely helpful, definitely share it with your friends on social media, and make sure you tag me as well at Count Jinsula. But without further ado, let's get right into it. Alright, Pokemon Masters. So this is a brand new game that was just released on Android and iOS. It's definitely a lot of fun. If you are a fan of the Pokemon franchise, this is a game that you absolutely must play. There's definitely a lot of fan service in this game. It's something that anyone can jump into, but do keep in mind that this is a free-to-play game, so there will be some microtransactions and a couple of pay-to-win elements, but I'm not going to be talking about that in this video. I'll save that for a future video. Let's get into a lot of the simple mechanics and some of the basics of this game. So two things you need to know regarding this game. It's a 3v3 battle system. As you go along, as you play the game, you will unlock different trainers, and each of these trainers will have one Pokemon, and that Pokemon is what you're going to be battling with. But something that's very unique to this game is that each Pokemon only has one typing. So each Pokemon is going to be really strong against certain types, but it's only going to be weak against one other type. That's something you have to keep in mind. This game is meant to be a little bit more casual, but I do think it works out really well in terms of the strategizing portion of this game. It's not very complex, but it does have enough for you to have a lot of strategy and a lot of pre-planning that is involved with it. Something else you have to keep in mind while you're playing this game is that it isn't a conventional Pokemon game. You're not battling Pokemon in order to acquire them, although there are kind of similar mechanics like that. You're basically battling other trainers in order to recruit them, and then you acquire their Pokemon as part of your team through having their trainer as part of your team. It's kind of like a roundabout way of a traditional Pokemon game, and that's basically how you form your team. So let's talk about the trainers specifically. The game actually refers to them as sync pairs, so as you're watching this video, as you watch a lot of my other Pokemon Masters videos, if you ever hear me say sync pairs, I'm actually referring to the different trainers in the game. Now the reason why they call them sync pairs is because there's a lot of different elements and a lot of different themes of synchronization in this game. I'm going to be getting into that in later videos. It's really complex and it adds a lot of fun to the game, but really for the basics you don't necessarily have to worry about it. But yeah, if you ever hear me say sync pairs, I'm actually referring to these trainers that you unlock as you play the game. Now each sync pair that you unlock has its own rarity and specialty in the game, and this is shown through the different number of stars that they have. For example, Rosa is a 5-star sync pair, which makes it extremely rare and extremely powerful, whereas Brock and Misty only have 3 stars, and that kind of makes them a little bit more common and a little bit more basic. You can actually power them up and make them stronger and give them more stars as you progress through the game. I won't get into that in this video, but just so you know, if you are a big fan of Misty and you want to make her a mainstay on your team, but you're afraid to use her because she's only a 3-star hero, well, you can actually make her a 5-star later, so you do not have to worry about that. There are 2 primary ways you can get sync pairs. For one, you could spend resources as you spend money in the game, or as you play the game, you get these gems, and you can use those gems to unlock different sync pairs at random, but you could also get them just by playing through the story mode. In fact, you get one of the strongest sync pairs in the game right off the bat in the story mode, and of course I'm talking about Rosa with her Snivy. Rosa is a really powerful trainer, and she has a really powerful and extremely useful Pokemon as part of her team, so right off the bat you get something extremely useful, and as you play through the game, you will find that Rosa is going to be a staple in the game. So as you're playing, make sure you keep Rosa as part of your team. Similar to a lot of other Pokemon games, as you're progressing in the game, as you're battling other trainers, as you're battling through the story mode, all of the different trainers that are on your team will actually level up, and in turn their Pokemon will level up as well. This is how you get your Pokemon to be a lot stronger. This is how you deal a lot more damage. This is how you can take a lot more damage. It's basically the same as any other Pokemon game. All of the Pokemon level up through battling. And just like every other Pokemon game, it's really your active trainers and your active Pokemon that are the ones that are going to level up. So you do have to keep that in mind. As you're playing through the game, certain trainers will be very useful on your team compared to a lot of other ones. You can't just really have just the 3 same trainers every time, and especially because of the different type weaknesses and type advantages. So you definitely want to divvy up the experience that you gain as you battle through trainers in the story mode and with other players. Now let's get into the basics of the battle mechanics. So the battle mechanics in Pokemon Masters are going to seem very familiar with the traditional Pokemon games, but there are a lot of real-time strategy aspects to it. Basically, the battles are in real time. It's not turn-based, but there are still turn-based elements to it. It's kind of like a mishmash of a turn-based game and a real-time game. It kind of reminds me of some of the old school Final Fantasy games, like for example, like Final Fantasy VIII and Final Fantasy X. They kind of had this kind of like queuing system, and instead of it being turn-based, you basically queue up your moves and just let them unleash as you go. And basically these moves will be on a cooldown, and you want to make sure you pick the right moves against the right Pokemon. Something that you'll discover as you play through the game is that different sync pairs work really well with other sync pairs, and certain sync pairs will be extremely useful in very specific situations. But something you have to keep in mind is that each sync pair actually has a different role. For example, Rosa is a support sync pair, so she's really good at buffing up your other Pokemon, your other trainers, and giving them a boost. Her move, Let's Energize, is actually extremely useful because it allows you to queue up more of each move. Now there are different moves that you can use while you are engaging in battle. There are the Pokemon moves, which are your general damage dealing moves. There are trainer moves, which you could use at any time, but these moves typically have a limited amount of usage per battle. For example, Brock can use potions, but he can only do them I think twice. And then of course there are sync moves, which I'll get into a lot deeper in future videos. But sync moves are basically special attacks that you could use every so often. In order to use these moves, you have to use a lot of your other moves in order to reduce the cooldown. It's pretty simple once you get into it, but sync moves are basically your super powerful moves. And then of course there are passive abilities with each Pokemon. This is what I was talking about earlier. As you pick out your different sync pairs, each Pokemon may give you a passive benefit. So as you're pairing different sync pairs together, you want to keep that in mind, but it's not something you really have to worry about. It's basically some kind of added benefit throughout the battle. The way the game plays out is pretty simple. You're going to have a team of 3 sync pairs, each with their own Pokemon and each with their own specialization, and you're going to go up against 3 other trainers with their own Pokemon and their own specializations. As you're playing the game, basically you're going to be selecting different Pokemon to attack, and you're going to be pressing the different moves that you want to use, and as you use those moves, there's going to be a cooldown before you can use it again. One of the strategies that I like to use as I'm playing the game is that I want to focus down certain Pokemon one by one, so that way it becomes like a 2v3 and you have the advantage. So that's something you can keep in mind. Even if there is a type advantage, at least one of your Pokemon could knock out that Pokemon, so you want to make sure you're playing it out kind of like very strategically. It might seem a little complex, but it's actually very simple. The game does a really good job at teaching you the ropes really early on, so you really don't have to worry about it too much until you get to the later stages of the story mode when it gets a lot more difficult. But yeah, as you're progressing, it does teach you and hold your hand along the way, so you don't have to worry about it too much. I would suggest the thing you should do right away is just play through the story mode, because this is the best way for you to unlock different sync pairs and to get a good understanding of the game. So I definitely suggest you go right into the story mode and just progress through it as far as you can. And like I said before, you will unlock other game modes and other ways to play as you progress through the story mode. So do keep that in mind. You want to get as far as you can in the story mode as possible before you engage with other players. I really am enjoying Pokemon Masters. I think it's a very simple and fun game. It's definitely casual friendly, but it does have a lot of potential for just very competitive play. So definitely go and check it out. It's out now on Android and iOS. And yeah, let me know what you think about this game in the comment section below. If you found this guide to be extremely helpful, make sure you share it with your friends and hit that like button and subscribe if it's your first time here. That will help me out a lot. Let me know your thoughts about this game in the comments section below. And yeah, don't worry guys, this is not the first Pokemon Masters video that I plan to make for my channel. So if you end up enjoying this video, be on the lookout for more Pokemon Masters videos. So yeah, that's gonna be it everyone. Hope you enjoyed it. I am Count Jinsula, and I'll catch you all later.